All right. Welcome back to the Bring the Juice podcast. I'm your host, Frank Dalena. We have an extremely important episode today because guess what? It is episode 100 of Bring the Juice. Small applause. What a milestone. We wanted to have it be a special guest, and one of the origins of Juice is about to be released right now. I have Aaron Mitchell on the podcast.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
Aaron, please say what's up to Bring the Juice Nation. It's a long time coming, brother.
Hey, Bring the Juice Nation, man. I'm fired up to be here. Frankie's been getting something going on for a long time, and you know we got a lot of history together. I'm excited to tell some stories and get down. You know, he just mentioned it. I was driving over here prepping, getting my mind right, because at the end of the day, you always gotta get your mind right.
Always.
I was like, man, this is just going to be a good conversation, telling old stories and get into the depths a little bit.
That's all it is. I don't think there's a better way to start it off. Real quick, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, the American Pistachio Growers. Shout out to the American Pistachio Growers. If you want to perform like the pros, eat your pistachios. Eat those nuts, kids. Aaron, are you a pistachio guy at all by chance?
Dude, actually, pistachios are one of my favorites to go to.
Yeah.
Especially unshelled, so you can just rip and sip. You can just get down. I like, especially Wonderful and obviously the pistachio you just mentioned. You know, I don't want to be thrown out.
Yeah.
No free shout outs. But I love just getting me a handful of nuts. No pause.
I love it. The first obvious question has to be Juice itself, the origin of Juice. You know, we've had a guy like Mike Martins on here before. He kind of got into it a little bit. Our buddies Kyle Rittering and George Helmuth, they understand the origins of it to a sense. But Aaron, I feel like, you know, especially me being a younger pupil on the football team, when I was trying to find my path, I gravitated towards guys that brought the juice, you being a staple in those guys. Talk to me about bringing the juice.
Honestly,
juice itself.
Bring the Juice is something that I've pondered for a long time. And even in my time of playing, I remember it's more of an identity than just words that you say, right? Bring the Juice is something that I remember sitting on a knee, my right knee especially.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. During my 1-11 season, looking around the room full of dudes that were competing every day. Like we instilled a high level of work ethic inside of our team, but we weren't being led right. There was a lack of top level leadership, but there was still intrinsic leadership from the team, but our top level leadership just wasn't getting the job done.
Right.
And I remember thinking, man, we got to find something. Like, we're a talented team. We're real good, but we're just not meshing the way we need to mesh. And I just remember I'm looking around. I'm like, man, we don't have any energy around here.
Right.
We ain't got no juice. And it just kind of was like, man, juice.
Yep.
What's that?
What is
and that? Pops always used to say, fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
And sometimes it's just words you throw around, but bringing the juice was that fake energy. You just wake up and go, hey, I don't care. We're 1-11. I don't care what's going on. I know that I can show up and control what I can control, which is my energy. And I remember looking around trying to find dudes that always brought energy, and you were one of the guys, the epitome of how do I just show up and go?
Right.
Doesn't matter what I'm doing. Doesn't matter the circumstance. Go.
I think you said it best, too, with controlling the controllables. We've talked about it many times. Like, especially that 1-11 year, it's crazy because it's the same guys on that team for the most part that ended up flipping it to 10-4 the next season. And
go a step further. The following year, you guys win a championship.
Go a step further.
I think
12-2.
1-11 to 12-2, we course corrected as a team and as a culture at Fresno State that changed the trajectory in those 3 years.
I will say even that 1-11 year is one of the closest teams I've personally ever played on. You know,
I couldn't agree more.
So much struggle, and you talk about leadership, Aaron, one of the ultimate leaders I've ever been around in sports. If you know, you know again. But like, it's one of those things where we knew after that 1-11 season happened, it's not like we didn't try. That's the thing that I think people don't quite comprehend.
That team fought.
Tried. If you really wanted to dive into the details, like, I mean, Nevada, first and goal on the 4. Running back at the time, Dontel James had over 100 that game.
We were running the rock on them.
Punching in, boys. Didn't
get
the job done.
Hawaii. Hold on. Little asterisk. One of the craziest bands I've ever ever had to play football in front of. There was no, like, normally they have common courtesy to, like, stop playing when
That cannon was loud as shit.
Cannon, bands. We're trying to get calls off, and they're just ringing their fight song. Like, it was adversity at its finest.
There was games that year we should have won and didn't. And I think that winter ball leading into, and people forget, you know, people think football starts around September and ends during bowl season. They don't understand. No, you might have just gotten your butt whooped, and it's, guess what? It's January 15th.
Oh, yeah.
And we're out there.
We're working.
We're out there. Mm-hmm. And it isn't, I don't want to say it's not fun, because I actually love that stuff. You got to, like you said, you have to embrace it. You can't be, it's get to versus got to.
I know a lot of people talk about it, but the culture that college football breeds,
right,
where you have over 100 young growing men full of testosterone and being told that's what you're supposed to be doing. We're trying to find the best of the best. We're trying to, all the sayings, iron sharpens iron. We want good competition against good competition, and we're put into certain situations that breed that, that turn you in to go, it's either you or him,
right,
and you better be him.
You have to. I mean, there's fight or flight. There's so many things. It also just becomes, again, control the controllable, where you could beat somebody out off of just consistently preparing, consistently showing up. Let other people mess up, and half your competition most of the time is they're just gonna fall out of place. Yep. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've gone up depth charts because of it. I know you have too, to where, you know, there's some people that, first of all, it's got to come from within.
Yes.
You have to
be intrinsically
motivated. You have
motivated.
to want it. There's a lot of people who think they want it until they're in the shits, and they realize they really don't want it that much. And if you can have that crazy look in your eye of like, I want this more than you. If we're both holding dumbbells and someone's going to drop, it's not going to be me. You're going to drop.
Yep.
And if you could think like that, and now that football's over and sports are kind of dying down, and translate that same intense mindset of achieving a goal to whatever the hell you're trying to do, dude, you're a dangerous man.
Absolutely.
Dangerous man.
Absolutely. And that's bring the juice. Mm-hmm. Every little bit of everything. You started talking about, essentially started talking about a process there.
Right.
And process is what's create wins. Goals are great to set, but a process is what gets you to that goal.
Right.
And all of that, showing up, being accountable, being the guy who you are, not being afraid to use your voice.
Right.
I think, you know, we're going to dive a little bit into leadership. Like, sometimes being a leader, you're not the most liked guy on a team.
Happens.
I can attest to that. Sometimes you have to say things to another guy, to your best friend, to a teammate, to a person that gets them a little more motivated, but also might put a little bit of piss up their ass and go, whoa.
Yeah.
What's he on about?
Right.
Why is he so fired up?
Yep.
Right. I should be fired. Why is he fired? I should be fired up. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. Sometimes I can tell you, go back to my offensive line room. There's a couple dudes did not like me one bit, but they understood why I was that way.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's beautiful about sports is you can do that. And ultimately, the older we get, I'm realizing the guys, you know, there's a lot of guys there's guys who are on billboards. There's guys who are the front page of the newspaper every week. They're all my brothers, but the guys who you had respect for the way they operated are the guys who I still want to be friends with today. I want to be friends with all of them.
Absolutely.
But they're the guys who I slam Corona premieres with prior to the Bring the Juice boxing event coming up July 15th.
Drink your beers.
Check it out. Anyways, I just think there's a sense of like earning your respect, and there's a lot of ways that can be done, but having that juice is a way you could essentially go about it. Like we said, we're all put in different situations and different elements, and you have your own hill to climb. But one thing that everyone has in common is every day you get to wake up and make a decision on how you're going to attack that day.
Absolutely.
So, you know, thinking back about, like, you're talking about O-line room, and I'm just thinking, like, being a guy who was such a leader in the O-line, I don't know how many stars you had coming out of high school.
Stars out of high school?
Sure.
Unranked, baby.
There you go. There you go. Gritty.
Got a committed
half a star.
late into my senior. Shout out to every senior out there right now. doesn't have to be happening there. It can happen late, last minute, beg somebody.
Yeah.
Right?
Find a way.
I was like an unranked 2.5 stars right when I committed.
There you go.
6th offensive lineman in our recruiting class.
How hard is it though to recruit a great offensive lineman? Because I feel like college coaches, they see bodies.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this guy's 6'6", 300 pounds. We want him to play O-line here, which I get that could be a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know about this until I get to college football. And you walk in, that's the O-line, and half of them are badass, just dirt dog, gritty like you.
Gritty
and the other
boys.
half are just, I don't want to call them teddy bears because I know some teddy bears that could be dirt dogs. These guys are just, they're not cut out for this shit.
My pops and I call them nice boys.
Nice boys.
Sometimes when you grow up as a bigger kid.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I was a bigger kid. I'm like 6'2.5".
Right.
I'm not some 6'6" kid. My pops was 6'6.5" by and wore a size 15 in the 6th grade. Like, he's a big kid. So growing up, you always get told as a bigger kid, hey, easy, you're going to hurt somebody.
Right.
Be nice to them. Like, even if someone's mean to you, be nice to them. So transcend that. All those years, they get to college offensive line, and now you got an offensive line coach like, nah, man, it's time to unleash it. It's time to go.
And most of the time, those guys are cutthroat, to say the least.
I would say more than the least. Offensive line coaches are cut from a different cloth. And I definitely think that, it takes a tough, rough guy to develop big men. It's an interesting game. A lot of big dudes have a soft side. They have this. It's tough to get yelled at. Some dude depends. Obviously, every college football player, every athlete comes from a diverse background, and you never know
how they're
how they're grown, how they were raised, how their mom yelled at them, how their dad yelled at them. All those different things. You have to take all that stuff into account. But offensive line is a gritty, hard-nosed position.
Right.
You get zero accolades.
Unless you mess up, it's the only time you recognize, really.
I couldn't tell you how many times. Luckily, I didn't have too many mess ups in my career.
Right.
But I could tell you on my hands how many times I'd be sitting there in my chair going I already know it's coming. Here it comes. Here it comes. It's there. He's gonna pause it. Here we go. Oh, and damn it, Mitchell. Yeah. Bad snap, little something, right? But you could go 10 series in a row with 5 pancakes, couple elite blocks to let the quarterback step up, make a good pass, get us good yards. Not a word. Which is a badge of honor. It's a worksman mindset. I punch the time clock when I come in, and I love it because I'm doing something for the betterment of the team. Every play.
Do you think then, how has that molded you into kind of just the man you are today of being, you got that I know you got that dog in you, but also the humbleness of, being cool, calm, and collected and understanding, I don't want to say owning your role, but embracing your role more than anything.
For sure. And first and foremost, I'll tell you, I'm a role guy.
Yeah.
Right. Even as a leader.
Me too. I know that.
And even as a voice on a team, if a leader doesn't have a good leader, somebody directionally telling them where to go, I'm essentially useless. Right. Because I'm running out there on a big old field where do you want me to take these guys?
Right.
I got a bunch of soldiers, but where do you want me to take them?
I need a map.
I need a map. You got to draw something, some little lines.
I'm gonna take you to the promised land. And we'll point in a direction.
We'll go. I got 100 dudes ready to ride, and you can attest to that. From 2016 to 2017, those times we had 100 dudes ready to go to bat. No matter drop of a dime.
That was not a question.
No question, right? But a good leader needs a good leader, and they need people to draw a map out on how to lead the right way.
Right.
And if you get out there in the pasture and you don't know where you're going, sometimes you can lose astray. And it's wild. It's offensive line it's not only that, if you're a wide receiver, right, you have a wide receiver core, but you're still on an island. You still got to run your route, you got to catch the rock, you get yards after catch, all that stuff. So you have 5 as an offensive line. I have 4 other dudes that I have to work with for our job. We're all getting graded. And half the time our grades are going together, so it's just a wild. You're a unit. So wild.
You're one of the. I'd say you're probably one of the. I'm trying to think in sports, and we'll get into rugby here in a little bit. But in sports, as far as units of people, it's got to be up there in the top units of people that have to work together to achieve a goal.
For sure. And communication wise as well. Like you have to know, like I always tell people when I tell young offensive linemen, because I do a little bit of help on that it's easier to know everyone else's job because you can start, like, it's like taking a multiple choice test.
Yep.
Right. If you start knowing that those answers go away, your answer will appear. So if I know what the left tackle, the left guard, the right guard, and the right tackler are doing, there's only one more guy for me to have to worry about.
Right.
So really that unit that you're talking about, that cohesiveness, you got to have a good bond between everyone. You got to be able to know, hey man, or one of my best buddies, Christian Kronk.
Right.
Third and long was a tough down. We got to put him in a good position to help him out, right? Change the snap count up a little bit. And I know that from having a good bond with him, that when we get in those situations as a center, I can manipulate. I can help him out by messing with my hand a little bit or doing something that gives him an advantage. And I think good offensive line units have a good bond and good communication between everybody for that to be successful.
Being a leader, the concept of bonding. Obviously, again, football is one of those sports where the closer the team, the better the team. There's a lot of words you can do.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But yes, obviously, everyone needs to make their times in summer conditioning. People need to report to team meetings on time. Like, that's the standard. That's not. I don't even. Those aren't the negotiables. That's coach set. Yep. Like, that isn't, like, do your job. That's job. But talk to me about, like, the bonding side, the caring for every person's side, and your experience. Because I'll say, being a role guy, like mainly a juice, high energy, high vibe, knows his assignment, special teams role guy. I knew my role, owned it, flourished with it. Your sort of situation, understanding I need to be a leader of, it starts with the O-line, and then the offense, and then the team, and then the program, and etc. As you flourish, when you're trying to get these relationships with your players, and I think any high school player could kind of be like, hey, maybe I need to, instead of, we're getting work in after practice, that's great and all, maybe we need to have a little barbecue in the backyard. You've
got to get you talked about rugby, right? And I played rugby for quite some time. You have got to get know your teammate outside of just what you do with your teammate. I need to know what makes you tick, right? And we talk about community, and you talk about people. At the end of the day, he's your teammate. We're going to go on the line together, and we're going to work our tails off in the summer. We're going to run the stadium. We're going to own our house. We're going to do that. But I want to know you more than just you, so that I can check in on you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, man, somebody needs to check in on somebody.
Take care of your mentals.
Take care of your mentals. Call your brother. That's how you create bonds, to the point to where if I look to my left and I look to my right, and I know those dudes, and I know their mom and dad, and I know their family, and I know what makes them tick, they know me as well. We're going to have a better bond. We're going to have a better trust. Yep. So when things get real hard, because sometimes they even take life gets hard. You need people to call on. That's the connection. That's the bond, to where people understand that I can call on a friend and he'll have my back. And I think that's where community and connection is what bonds that is what creates that bond, and creates true leadership. Meaning I can understand my entire collective of people. Right. And I remember coming into my senior year saying, okay, I was a captain of the offensive line. I have aspirations to be the captain of the team. How can I connect with every corner of that locker room? Right. How can I have...
And that corner of that locker room is both position-based, offense, defense, special teams. It's also, what's your background base? There's guys from Beverly Hills, Compton,
from everywhere,
different states, different inner city households.
You think about it. You could have a dude from inner city LA,
right,
locker next to like a kid from Chico, right. Like, I understand that we're in the same state there, but inner city LA lifestyle and living, and my girlfriend lived in Long Beach for a long time.
Clovis to Fresno is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big difference. So understanding that, like, what those two dudes and like what I bring to the table, we're gonna have different views on a lot of things. Yeah. But we have an urgency to get close.
You gotta figure it out.
There's an urgency for a team to be good, to be close to each other. Yeah. Because if you're not close, when it starts getting hard, it's like a rubber band with too many bands. It starts getting too stretched and it just explodes. Yep. Team cultures. You watch teams this upcoming season. You'll know which teams took time to be bonded and have good culture.
Yeah.
And rugby, like that's where I'm going to go back to rugby is rugby was so weird for me. Like I knew how to play the game and I knew how to do all that, but it's so driven from team culture. Like you have your coaches, but they don't really coach. They'll come up, say their words in the beginning, and then they stand off to the side, and it's very player led.
Wow.
So now that I look back and you ask the question, like, what's a good leader? What's it look like? What's a good team? How do you bond? I don't think I had all the tools when I was a, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid in an offensive line room. And then as a full team leader, now when I look back, I go, wow, like it really is like for the time I used to be a really loud guy, right? Loudest guy in the room sometimes isn't the best, but when I was getting loud, it was meant something. You don't have to lead like that. You can lead like that. It's a style, but the community, the connection, actually getting to know your brother and know your teammate or know a person, that's leadership. Yeah. That's learning your team, learning something new about somebody and being able to check in on them. That's how you get your boys to go for you.
You want dudes that'll walk with you no matter what. I mean, I don't know why that scene from the movie The Town where the guy's like, whose car are we taking?
Yeah. No.
We're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we taking? It just, you want guys like that in your corner in life. And it does start in sports. One of the beautiful things about sports, it creates friendships.
Absolutely.
Absolute prime example right here, right now.
Yep.
I was gonna get into kai for a sec. So
love that. That's culture.
That's culture.
That's bonding.
Okay, what's what? Give me some of your PG-13 examples of things you've done to build culture with your team. I'll start.
I was ready. I had one locked and loaded.
Okay, go
to
ahead.
make it PG.
Okay, I wanted to break the ice.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you always need a set and a scene. We had one of the greatest little houses to live in, and if I could go knock on the door right now and live in it again, I would. Shout out Alamendra.
The Thunderdome, baby.
The Thunderdome, really. But you have to have somewhere for them to gather. You got it, right? Like if we talk about it's like the old movie, if you build it, they will come. Right. You've got to have a place to gather. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the first and foremost of like Kai was we had a very good house at the brick house. We had a very good house at mine. We had areas to be able to go, man, we want to get a little rowdy. Yeah. We want to bring the noise. We want to bring the juice.
I think, and talk about balance real quick.
Very important.
Very important. And maybe this is a hot take, I don't know, but like when you grind so hard, you got to be able to unleash a little bit. That doesn't mean, I'm not encouraging anybody to go grab a handle of Jack Daniels and slam it by yourself in your room to unleash. Not at all.
Not at all. Not one bit.
But we're college kids, man. Like we practice across the street from frat row every day.
Man,
it's
you'd be
okay.
On a warm up. You'd be hitting a warm up and they'd be getting down.
They're getting down. And that's fine.
That's
good for them.
Good for them.
Guess what? Different lifestyle. It's
lifestyle.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to get a little rowdy with the boys. And I think one thing that's not fun, but something that's worth noting about athletes is you also gain a sense of brotherhood of, yes, you're spending quality time with each other. There's nothing better than the boys cracking a couple cold ones, maybe tossing some cubes.
Oh, on a beautiful sunny day.
Getting competitive.
Yes.
And getting your, you finished your work. And one thing I'm going to put a stamp on Coach Andy Ward here. Where like Coach Andy Ward, not to get into too much detail, like he respects the fact that people would go and grind all week. Mm-hmm. They'd be at everything early and they'd stay late and they'd get the extra work in. There was nothing nobody missed. They were the leaders, but they also knew when they had the time to balance out having a good team bonding experience in a college atmosphere.
You're still a college kid.
It's okay to have fun.
Yes.
Fun is, everyone has different definitions.
Fun is healthy.
Fun is healthy. You need to be able to release. Mm-hmm. And you know what? A couple parties throughout the semester, might have a good time. But, and I've been feeling this lately in life where, I have some really great friends from high school and I have some really great friends from college. But one thing, while you're in it, your boys will always look out for you.
Yes. And
I want guys in my life who are always looking out for me. which is why they're still my friends, because they're looking out for me. But like I'm saying, it's something where we're both on the football team. I don't want you to get in trouble because then I'm in trouble.
Yep.
And you don't want me to get in trouble because vice versa. So we got each other's back. We're being smart about it. You're unleashing. But what I meant by the Andy Ward story is you earn it.
Yep.
I'm not saying you're running hard all week so you can drink a beer at the end of it. Not at all. But it's okay to gain and get those relationships with guys outside of football. Sometimes that's a little barbecue with some beer. There's nothing wrong with it.
100% is that most of the time.
How many guys, though, who are like, they think we're, just the crazy white boys, man. And they come over and we're playing some game that it's not from their hometown or whatever. And all of a sudden, they love it. They're having fun.
It's the most fun game they've ever played. And you got 20 people standing around a table getting down. That, to me, like, that's just, how far do you want to go back of people hanging out around community and whether it's based around drinking or not? A long time ago, it wasn't. It was something else, right?
Sure.
At the end of the day, it's bringing people around having a good time.
Camaraderie, having that unit base, and then going back to like the leadership standpoint of just, yes, you have to grind on the field, but also outside makes a huge difference.
I think you can ask anybody that we played with from the core group of Kai, which was, I think, about 7 of us or 8 of us.
Sure.
Some of the hardest, if not
absolutely
hardest workers on the team alone.
Yeah.
On Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Now, Friday afternoon, Saturday.
1 o'clock kickoff.
1 o'clock kickoff. Still hardest working guys in the room, but we, like you said, we've earned the right.
Right.
Right. And we're not talking like all year long we're doing this. This is
it's
dog days of the summer, just like we're in right now.
Right.
They got us doing nothing but, like, they got no game to worry about. Yeah. So we understand the price tag that the summer is time to get big yoked and in good condition. So it's
also the time to get that team bonding.
Exactly. Probably the most pivotal time, June and July, because August,
it's fall camp.
If you don't build your team culture before August,
yes,
by the time mid camp hits,
it's going to collapse.
No, it's bad for you.
It is.
It's plain and simple.
It is.
There's dudes going to be fighting. There's like, you already get pissed off halfway through fall camp. Even if you have your best friend could be a defensive player, you could be 15 days into camp and be like, bro, if he looks at me wrong one more time, he says something to me, and I'm having lunch.
I had James Bailey as a roommate, bro.
Mm-hmm. Like,
you're like, hey, bro.
I'm actually talking about him.
Right.
He was outside linebacker, nickel, kind of like linebacker type.
That's what I'm saying.
Pulling center. Like, I'm like, if you come and step on my foot and hit me like that again, we're going to have to throw hands. Like,
it's as simple as that.
One of my closest friends, if not my closest friend.
Right.
So if you, like, again, I'm going to redirect. If you don't build your culture in June and July, by the time dog days of summer comes around and you're actually trying to get the X's and O's right, not going to be a good team.
It's not going to be a good team. I truly believe that. And again, I'm not like, I'm not saying I'm not a master. I'm not a fortune teller. We could have Tedford right here, and I guess he would say the same thing.
I think any insert coach here, I think any of them would say that your strength coach and your 110 guys that are there for the summer are the most pivotal part of your program and your success leading into the fall.
I couldn't agree more. Before we continue, I got to give a quick shout out to our sponsors at Manscaped. Manscaped. Support Bring the Juice. Manscaped supports Bring the Juice. They're the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Performance package, the ultimate hygiene bundle for you. Join 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer. It's 20% off and free shipping. Use code BRINGTHEJUICE at manscaped.com. Get 20% off, free shipping. And 8 million men, I believe that should equal about 16 million balls. I don't know if my math is correct on that. You know what?
To add 2 numbers there, so I might need to get me.
I feel like Alan in The Hangover, who's like doing the math on the blackjack table, like 8 million men, 16 million balls. Around the 2. Okay. But Manscaped, go to manscaped.com, use code BRINGTHEJUICE, 20% off, free shipping. I've been grooming with them. Things are going really well for me. Their body wash smells phenomenal. I actually commented on their Instagram a couple days ago saying they said, what should our next product line be? And I said it should be Manscaped ball deodorant flavored candles. It smells that good.
Interesting.
It smells that good. Hot
Okay.
take. I don't know.
Hot take.
It might happen.
Like set by your bedside table candle, or
maybe like
a
candle in the
refreshment?
bathroom.
Okay,
Candle in the
all right.
bathroom. Like you pinch one off and
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
understand. Light a match.
yeah.
I want to ask though. So you said you've been grooming with them.
Yeah, I do.
You do the grooming yourself, or
I do my own grooming.
okay? I just wanted to double check.
Yeah.
It insinuated that you go somewhere and get groomed by Manscaped, and I just wanted to say if I could get in on that, that'd be sweet.
It's a good industry, maybe potentially. 2023 is a crazy year so
It's
far.
a crazy year. I'm not sure of how.
Yeah, it's a crazy year.
It'd be tough. I think it'd be really tough to pull it off. But
Tough industry to get into.
I've been big idea guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I am an NIL guy, so you have
Yeah.
to have big ideas.
Let's get into that real quick.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a taste.
Yeah. This guy had his own podcast. Look at that segue. Look at that segue. Hey, Manscaped, you want to sponsor some athletes?
It would be an NIL deal.
Fresno State's hairy. They need some Manscaping.
I could find you a couple real hairy guys, and we could do a before and after shot.
Tell you what, my brother is a hairy kid.
Hey, we might be onto something now. Hit up Aaron Mitchell at fresnostate.edu for any inquiries.
Talk to me about NIL. Talk to me about your role. You're back in the Valley. Talk to me about your role.
Okay.
You're owning it. We know that much. Own your role.
Obviously, again, big role guy, right? And if you say, hey, this is what we want to get done, then I'm always gonna give you 100% of my effort.
Right.
I don't believe in 110 because I'm a man, so I got 100% of my effort.
I like that.
The role of NIL is ever changing. I think that the landscape still doesn't even know what it wants to be. I think when I first, obviously I wasn't in this. I got into this, hired out at Fresno State a couple of months back.
Right.
And I wasn't actually in the NIL game. Okay. I wouldn't say that I had a whole bunch of knowledge on it, but I did keep my eye on it because I was like, man, that's finally something moving forward in the game. Finally, don't get me wrong. Like, I still firmly believe that you're getting a full ride education when you go play college football or college athletics. You're getting some sort of education. But at the end of the day, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough to be a student athlete.
It'd be nice to be able to hold a couple dollars.
It would be nice to hold a couple dollars. It would be nice to not have to check my bank account to take my girlfriend to ice cream.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I paid my rent. It's the middle of summer, right? So I pay my rent. I'm already scrounging. I'm eating as much food at the facilities as I can based off of what our nutrition process is, right? And then my car decides to, or someone breaks into my window or my battery goes out.
Those hidden fees, there's not really a budget for that.
There's not really a budget for that. That's life. That's what we call life, right?
Yeah.
NIL now gives us the opportunity to actually not have to have a student athlete feel that poverty, feel that below the line of, man, am I buying groceries or am I deciding to go have a good time with my friends?
And that's not just a you story or a Fresno State story. That is across the nation at every school.
Yeah. Whether your school has, whether your school's got cost of attendance and your scholarship fund because you're a private university and can be a lot more and you can give them more money, it doesn't matter. Right. I think that the basis of what it is and what's going on for a long time was that our student athletes, cost of everything has gone up. Okay. Yeah. Has scholarships maybe followed that? I'm not sure. I don't know from the basis of across a national landscape.
Yeah.
But I do know for a fact that even as a 27-year-old man who's got a girlfriend, moving into a house, dogs and everything, like even with my own financial situation, groceries are expensive. Gas is expensive. Dude. All that stuff is just rising. Right?
Everything's expensive.
So a student athlete, what's the difference between them and me? I would even think that they got it harder than me because everyone they go to school, they got to play, they got to play their sport.
They're kind of in this little bubble right now to where it's like, hey, I know I got $500 to live off for the month, but as long as I make that work, everything else is paid for.
How can I get me?
Right?
And I got on a little tangent there, but NIL now is an opportunity for us to take some student athletes and have an opportunity to connect them to local businesses, connect them back to their community. But it's not just for the monetary gain.
Right.
It's for the relationship building. It's for the networking.
Yeah.
I use myself as an example. Even in my time at Fresno State, 38 games, played a lot of games, Bulldog of the Year, like had the opportunity to go to the NFL, played professional rugby. You pick all that away and just put me into normal, man, I played a couple games, I got my degree, and now I'm on to next. I would have been sitting there kind of on my thumb going like, who am I, and what am I doing next? Mm-hmm. NIL now allows me to go, I know who you are. Let's go get you connected to some brands.
Yep.
Let's go build your brand, right? You have a nationally recognized brand in Fresno State. Why not build your brand symbiotically with them so that now people, instead of just going out and going, hey, that's Frank Dalena, the wide receiver for the state, they go, hey, that's Frank Dalena. He's Bring the Juice. And he also plays wide receiver for Fresno State. We want to give them something tangible to leave our doorstep with. And how you do that is getting connected back to your community, especially here in Fresno. Our farmer community, our just community in general is so important to the success of us.
It's a hub. Absolutely, it's a hub.
The Red Wave doesn't even understand how important they are to the success of Fresno State athletics.
The Valley is special, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I've preached on it. You know, you take Fresno State football / the Red Wave out of Fresno, the entire demographic, the area, the way of living drastically changes. Whether you've ever been to a game.
We're not the same.
Whether you've ever been to a game or you've never been to a game or you've been to every game, your life is going to be different if there is no Fresno State football team in Fresno. 100%. 100%.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think...
You're Bakersfield.
I was gonna go even a little further, but essentially, you're just another town on the 5 that somehow was for some reason
Riverside.
massive. Like, and Riverside's massive, so like it's 100% agree with that. It's somewhere where they go, dang, it gets really hot there.
Yeah,
and I heard they do a lot of farming.
Yeah, it's kind of dirty. Yeah. Well, and look,
people are gritty though,
but
people work their tails off,
dude. There's some people who I can't say that people that I grew up with that can't wait to get out of here. I could have never been more opposite. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on.
Always.
I'm not leaving.
Always.
Seriously, I'm not kidding. Perfect example. My family loves to go to Cayucas. It's the only place we went growing up as a kid. It is Central Coast, right?
Yep.
I work every day in Kettleman City. I drive 72 miles from my driveway to my parking spot at the farm.
Gritty.
But I could instead drive like 88 miles and live damn near at the beach in Cayucas, which is the place I love to vacation.
You ever seen that meme?
Someday, will I maybe make that call? I don't know. My family's here. The dogs are here. My friends are here. Yeah, it's a little hotter. Guess what? Good. I
Shout out Coach Bernardi.
I think when you're growing up and you're raising children, again, I'm not a dad. Maybe I'm talking on my ass right now.
He's getting a little ahead of himself. That's episode like 150.
Right? I'm just saying, like, I think there's nothing wrong with teaching your kid to overcome adversity. I might get some bad comments in this YouTube video. But honestly, if you don't, if you agree with me, let me know, because I think there's nothing wrong with kids overcoming a little adversity.
Sometimes leaders aren't always liked. Remember that.
It is one of those situations too where maybe your kid's just a little squishy. Maybe you should go play on the iPad a little bit more.
I don't see. Now we're getting into the weeds. We got to reel it back in over here. You know, you're gonna start talking about participation trophies, and you're gonna get me talking about why I don't believe in participation trophies.
Fired up over here, bro. No, let's talk about it real quick. I don't believe in participation trophies.
I think that it dilutes the culture of winning and losing.
Yeah,
I learned more, and obviously, I'm not a professional. I don't know anything.
But you're wired differently.
All I know is the experiences that I've lived.
Amen.
I look back and look at my 1-11 season as more influential in my life now than I ever did a winning season.
I couldn't agree more.
You need to understand how to learn to lose and learn to win.
There must be struggle before there's success. There will always be darkness before there's light.
Now,
every time.
Don't get it twisted. If they're 4-year-olds, like, we shouldn't even be having winners and losers. Like, just let them get after it.
Just let them get after it.
My mom used to say, I used to hate soccer, and I played soccer when I was like 4 or 5. Cried the entire time on the sideline, like, I do not want to be out there, Mom.
Right.
Like, with that. And my mom looks at me and goes, every goal you score, I'll give you a pack of Hubba Bubba. I said,
yeah.
Leading goal scorer on the team.
Right.
Athlete. I had a cabinet full of Hubba Bubba.
Yeah.
Right. I don't need a participation trophy. I don't need a win or a loss. I need a goal to get to and a process on how to get there.
Yep.
And some mighty fine Hubba Bubba.
I think there's nothing wrong with having internal goals like that within your family, within your household. Do it. Again, not a dad. I don't know what I'm talking about.
How many brothers do you have?
It's me. I have a very competitive sister and 2 brothers.
There you go. So you got a big family. You're the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
I'm the youngest. And I got 3 older brothers.
Yes, you do.
You got to live in a competitive environment.
Absolutely.
I think if you ask anybody growing up anywhere, like you find a single child versus a child that grew up with some brothers and sisters.
I think that's a like a human being statistic. I don't think that's us just shooting the shit, drinking beers. I think that's that's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah.
Like that just goes on to like iron sharpens iron, and like living with another human being and having to deal with their emotions. And again, like if you got an older brother or you're the older brother, I'm sure you were beating the crap out of your younger siblings just because they looked at you the wrong way. Just because you're like, I'm the older brother, I get to do what I want.
We're competitive. I mean, my brothers and me are very competitive, very, and it's not like, oh, we just like to see who's gonna win the cornhole game on Sunday. No, it's like
someone's getting bodied to go get that. We used to play spoons.
Dude, we'll play anything.
Catch bows, getting like at a family vacation, people getting bloodied up.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they didn't get because of a simple card game.
I agree.
I don't think that's normal.
No, it's not normal. But at the same time, this isn't a normal podcast. There's a reason why I don't. There's a reason why I get 15 DMs a week saying, "Hey, my granddaughter plays. She got first team all league on our JV water polo team at the nearby high school," and I'm saying, "Hey, no disrespect, G-Ma, but guess what? I'm sorry. She hasn't been through enough adversity and competitive experience where she could take life lessons that really punch you in the face. I'm talking knock the wind out of you life lessons."
Well, I mean, she's probably gotten kicked pretty hard underwater. Water polo is pretty tough.
I'm not downgrading water polo. I'm saying in the sense of like when there's an element of pressure that comes the higher you go. I've talked to a couple NFL dudes that have played.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
The microscope on how
the
much
microscope.
finer it gets
The microscope.
the further you climb the chain.
The higher you climb that mountain, the steeper it gets, and the harder it hurts when you fall off that motherfucker.
I don't even remember who said it. It was a tweet or something, but it was like the higher you get and the further you are up the mountain, like if you're at the professional level, they're trying to find somebody to replace you.
Bro, there's a dude with rocks trying to throw and hit your kneecaps.
And I'm not talking little rocks. I'm like,
he's got a
big
gun.
He's shooting rocks at your glass house.
Gun.
Like, hey, you mess up, I'm going to find the next guy. I had a coach tell me that in college.
Yeah.
I had a coach actively tell me, I'm trying to find someone to replace you. Little do you know, I'm bringing the juice. Like, yeah. Fire me up.
Yeah. Good.
Find someone to light a fire up my ass because that only makes me better.
I couldn't agree more. There's nothing more I love more than a challenge. I think I've told this story a couple times. So, I walked on, but I got preferred. And the reason I did is because I went to the Fresno State football camp. And if you won like fastest man or anything like that, you got to meet the coaches after type hype. So I won the shuttle that day, and I had a broken hand.
Lightning fast.
I had an American flag cast on. I'm not gonna lie, I was playing out of my ass.
Everyone take a second to imagine what
130-pound Frank Dalena with American flag cast on, out there one hand catching shit over there. 3-star dudes already signed.
You ever seen Invincible?
Vince Papali, motherfucker.
No, when they bring the full open tryouts and the guy with the Phillies cape, that's Frank Dalena at like 15, 16, trying to talk to Coach Tedford.
Tedford was there. Tim DeRuiter. Tim DeRuiter.
Timmy D.
Tim DeRuiter. And guess who their starting wide receiver is at this point? Devontae Adams. So I'm out here like
dog.
I'm out here like
true dog.
Literally 127 pounds, maybe 132. I don't know, but I'm hooping.
Cast it up.
Running fast with the cast. So I meet Phil early. Okay, haven't seen him in a while. Okay, I said, "Hey, coach,
legendary tight ends coach,
got a good GPA. You know, I scored this
all
many.
The things you need to say.
I had the stats.
Yeah, you got. I
have the stats. Yeah. I have the highlight tape.
You're ready to ride.
I have the GPA. I know that I'm not the perfect size to be a walk.
I have the resume
to be anything.
Yes.
And I'm sending my huddle film out to college coaches, and bro, everyone says, "I love the film. Glad you have a good GPA. How tall are you and how much do you weigh?" And I'm just like, and when I'm going like on like little visits and shit, I'm wearing my cowboy boots with the flannel, and the whole time I'm just flexed, bro.
I bought a pair of black Air Force Ones.
Look a little taller.
To wear to school.
Yeah.
At my private Catholic school.
Good.
With buzz cut.
Good.
And to go to anytime I got a call, I'm like, oh, I got my shoes on. I'm be straight. Like you talking about being undersized, right?
Right.
And we're gonna go back talking about offensive line coaches. I was 6'2", and like I still am. I'm like closer to 6'3" now, but I'm all of 6'2". I have every college come to my campus, and pretty much look me in my eye and say,
"You're not tall enough.
We love the way you're playing. We love everything about you, but I cannot take a chance on a 6'2" guard.
Yeah,
if I take a chance on a 6'2" guard, I lose my job."
I literally got told by Phil Early in the eyes, "Well, son, you had a great day at the camp. But you know what? I got to be honest with you, man, son. We're coming off a Mountain West championship right now. We got Devontae Adams, high caliber receivers. Maybe you should look at some D3 schools. But you're
straight to
D3. He goes D2, D1, AA, D3. He started at D3. He goes. I could see the Big Sky looking at you real well. He goes, but we got Devontae Adams. We just got Harper and all these guys. And I'm just like. And I just said, he pretty much said, he goes, I don't see it happen anytime. Yeah. But thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm glad I paid $35 for a free t-shirt.
Hey, you got to be on the field.
And I shit you not, had a great senior season. And I was like, I started talking to old man Germano and Tim DeRuiter. And I hustled my spot. And believe it or not, guess who my coach was when I got to Fresno State? Old son, Phil Early.
Oh, yeah.
He was coaching the slots and the tight ends.
That had to feel good.
You know what?
That had to fuel your fire a bit.
I was fired up, and I'm the pond scum of the football team, being an undersized white boy walk-on who nobody knows. My youngest brother's there now. Guess what? He knows the whole team.
Oh yeah,
knows the whole team.
Yeah,
grew up with
the team.
He knows guys that the guys on the team don't even know.
Yes.
And I know nobody. I have no friends. They're basically like, hey, this guy's gonna work hard. He's gonna help our team GPA.
It's a dog eat dog world that you're walking yourself into.
We had a barbecue at Phil Early's house, the position group, and he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "I remember that conversation, man." He goes, "You're doing great. Keep going." And I was just like, "Fuck you, motherfucker."
A little bit like it's a double-edged sword. It's a fuck you, but it's also like a. You know what? You're right.
Right.
Like I worked my tail off to get here.
Yeah, and that takes a sense too. When you're an athlete, it's like, dude, like, yes, we like to embrace the undersized, underdog, chip on your shoulder, hard worker, lunch pail guys type work ethic, but don't get it twisted. And I've learned this too. Like, I have if somebody tells me off the bat, oh yeah, I played, like, let's say we went to a bar right now and somebody goes, yeah, I played 5 years at San Diego State. Automatically, my respect level for you went from neutral to you got at least 1%.
Oh,
because I know you've been through some shit. You got through 5 fall camps.
Don't talk. Hey, you're gonna bring back. I'm gonna be sitting in the chair, not being able to go sleep tonight.
You must have some dog in you.
Something.
Yeah, you clearly you found a way.
You got fight in you because
you found a way.
Fall camp's not for the weak. I got a funny story. Arturo Gomez. Big old tackle for us. Ended up not finishing out at Fresno State. I think he went to UTSA. Good kid. Loved him, right? When we came in together, he was one of the 6'0" linemen that I came in with. And I'm not gonna get into many particulars, but I'm just gonna tell you, football's hard. Fall camp is hard. We were hitting the 6-man sled. We're in the dog days of camp. He hits the sled. We used to have to hit it, roll, and run. Right. Yeah, and if someone fell in front of you, it was like you either run them over or you're redoing that rep and you're doing that stuff. Right. He gets re-rided. He goes again. He gets re-rided again. He goes again. He's like three trips in to hitting the 6-man sled. And any offensive lineman that's ever hit the 6-man sled knows it's already getting this feeling from their toes to their like titties of like numbness and pure pain for that young man. Uh-huh. I remember he finished his rep and he comes back and I'm about to go. And we have like a split second because obviously the guys in front of us are getting re-racked. So like the reps go a little bit, goes a little longer. Arturo looks at me and goes, man, if that ramp wasn't so far away, I'd have already left. But I know I would have had to run to the ramp. So I'd rather wait in line and go through this again than run to that ramp. Dog, gritty, right? Like Good. Even that guy, right? Yeah. Maybe he doesn't finish at Fresno State. You still are built different because you went through that.
Yeah.
He, whether in a good way or a bad way, like he feels that still.
Totally.
He involuntarily put himself through pain, and he's stronger for it.
Right.
People forget about that.
Before we continue, got to give a quick shout out to FFB Bank. Y'all remember Fresno First Bank? They are now FFB Bank. They are the prestigious bank here in the Central Valley and in all the United States. They went from being local to national. You walk in, they give you a sound business approach for any banking needs. They do personal finances as well now. So if you want to get a new bank account, go out to FFB Bank. Bring the Juice is actually switching over to FFB Bank because guess what? We have a long-term deal with them. We couldn't be more excited about it. I'm fired up. They're fired up. We're going to continue to grow from going locally to national, just like prestige worldwide.
That's elite. That's stepping up in the game.
We appreciate them. So shout out to FFB Bank. Aaron,
shout out them as well. They do NIL deals.
Yeah.
They take care of student athletes.
Keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't feel right to not talk about rugby. You brushed on it a lot. Tell me that transition of going from Fresno State, having a great career, facing adversity, learning a lot as a man. NFL experience was what it was, and then being like, okay, I'm going all in on rugby.
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of give the viewers a little bit of a little bit, but
yeah.
So rugby actually became a thing for me in high school.
Okay.
I didn't start playing rugby until I quit baseball to play rugby because I was outgrowing baseball.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I had this coach and a lot of my football buddies were all like, hey, you should come out. And I'm like, nah, man, I don't know if that's for me. I'm going to play baseball. And the coach finally was like, hey, just come on out. You get to run the rock. I'm like, sweet. Sounds good. I'm already kind of feeling sideways with baseball because I wanted to play catcher, but they're like, you're getting too big. The umpire's complaining about not seeing strikes. And I'm like, that's his problem. It's not mine.
That sounds like a personal issue.
Sorry, I'm getting wide-bodied in the gym in the morning. Like, you know,
so I'm getting me.
Sorry, trying to be a Division I football player. I'm getting big, and they're trying to tell me I can't do that. So I transitioned into rugby, and I have immediate success.
Right.
Strictly because I've always was growing up. I was already a really athletic kid.
Right.
Loved playing sports. Loved playing every sport I could. Basketball, baseball. If it had some sort of competition in it, I wanted to be involved.
Of course.
And rugby allowed me to really like fully express myself artistically on a field. Where offensive line and all that stuff, like, don't get me wrong, I get to express myself, I get to smash people and all that, but
it's different.
It's different. Like when I was playing rugby, I got to actually run around and tackle people and throw the ball around and use my athleticism to my advantage.
Athleticism.
And so I'm playing rugby in high school. I end up being an All-American for 2 years. I go to play rugby overseas in England for a month, and I'm at this crossroads. I'm getting recruited for football. It made me a better football player,
right?
Because it taught me how to use my body better.
Okay.
If you go and watch if you like this is long, go back, watch the film between a junior year Aaron Mitchell and a senior year Aaron Mitchell. You're like, what did that dude eat in the off season? Because he's just like different animal. I was more in shape and I was running around just freely. And I'm going real long here, but become an All-American, have an All-American coach go, hey, you can either continue with us. We're going on a South America tour for 3 months, or you can accept your full ride scholarship to go to Fresno State. And he told me, he's like, hey, those full ride scholarships, man, they don't come.
They don't hand those out.
They're far and in between. And I was like, he's like, rugby will always be there for you.
Okay.
I said, sounds good. Take my full ride scholarship, 38 consecutive starts, all that stuff. Right? We're not even talking about losing a year either because of some bad player management.
Uh-huh.
I finished my senior season. I'm training. I told my mom I'd finished school. So I didn't go train anywhere. I decided, hey, the house that built me is the place that I'm going to stay and train with. Coach Ward, Bobby Johnson, like, let's get down to work.
Yeah. OG Bobby.
OG Bobby. Shout out. So I'm training for all that, and it's like, what is the timing on this? It's like almost spring. So like I'm training for pro day.
I remember this.
Pro day is like in March. Spring break is like a couple weeks before pro day. So I'm like, sweet. I end up going home because the GM of the league that started, Major League Rugby in 2018, was just starting up in San Diego. We had a hometown team in my a professional team in my hometown.
Right.
And they call me. They're like, hey, come check it out. Go down there. I'm sitting in this office with an English coach, Matt Hawkins. So it's Rob Hoadley. Matt Hawkins is like full-time, like All-American, played for the USA Eagle Sevens, like just an absolute legend. Okay, he's the GM. I'm sitting here, and they're both just like, we really like you. You know, you look good. And you're like, you're much bigger than we remember. Like, would you think about playing for us? And I'm thinking like, down the road. Yeah. Heck yeah. Absolutely. And they're like, no, like
This year.
right now. And I'm like, whoa, fellas, like I'm training for pro day. I'm trying to make the NFL. I got school. I got all these little things that are trying to impede me from doing that. But I made promises that I would get that done. And they're like, what if we can make it work? I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, what if we can work around your schedule? We really want an American guy. We want someone who's, not only a local kid, being from Oceanside, playing for my hometown
That's
team.
huge.
It was actually one of the most highlights of what I wanted to do as a kid. You asked me what I wanted to do as a kid was play professional sport. Played professional sport for my hometown team.
That's
Check
awesome.
box. Bang.
Huge.
So they're like, we'll make it work. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to make that work, but sweet. Because I got class all the way up till Thursday and I got class on Monday and we play on the weekends. And they're like, well, we'll fly in Thursday nights. You'll train with us on Fridays, play the game Saturday, Sunday, and we'll make sure you're flown home for your Monday morning class. I'm like, sounds good to me. So for about 2 months, I'm going to school, training with Coach Ward, Bobby Johnson, all week long. And on a Thursday night, I hop on a plane. I fly to San Diego. I train rugby. I go to a captain's run, which is like a Friday walkthrough before a game. Run around with them, and then would play on the weekend. And then fly home to get to class on Monday. So I did that for a while until draft day came.
Right.
So I'm playing rugby all the way until draft day. By the time draft day comes, I'm
NFL
out.
draft.
NFL draft day. I'm down on the field in San Diego because by this time it's later in the year. Right.
Yeah.
Draft takes part a little bit later after the spring.
Right.
I'm like not in school anymore. I'm living down and back home in San Diego playing rugby. I get a call at a rugby practice from the Lions,
Right.
to go to the Lions camp. I end up playing that game that weekend and say, hey, I need to take a month off. I'm going to go do this NFL thing.
Yeah.
Train for the NFL, go there, get cut do the mini camp invite, get cut on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
This is like 2 months after. I'm still in contact. I call them. Hey, I just got cut, but I'm eager. I'm training. They got me up here around all these dudes. I'm hungry. You got a spot for the weekend? Let me call you back. I'm sitting in the Detroit airport at like 9 o'clock at night. I get a call. They go, hey, we're going to fly you to Denver Sunday morning. You're going to play for us.
So you got cut from the Detroit Lions on Saturday night.
Saturday, like 5 o'clock.
You
Sitting in
got
the airport.
cut from the Detroit Lions on Saturday at 5 o'clock, and you played in a professional rugby game on Sunday in Denver.
Evening at 7 o'clock. Played 20 minutes off the bench.
Jeez.
And was, you want to talk about juice, pissed
Yeah.
that I had to do extra conditioning after the game.
Yeah.
When I was like, dude, I'm doing all this all weekend. But then it dawned on me, I go, they don't care.
Standards is standard.
They're just standard. You better fucking be pissed running your extra reps because guess what? You wanted that and now you got it.
Yeah. Good.
Good. And I never looked back.
You just kept rolling.
I played in that game. Little fun fact too. When I came home from that Lions camp and flew to my house, got picked up by my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Lax Bros was going on at my house, which if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Jumped right in.
Wow.
Jumped right on in, let it go, and then rolled up dusty on Sunday morning.
I mean, I was there.
Flight.
I must have been there.
You were. And like, everyone always asks, like, would you go back? Like, do you ever feel like you made a misstep anywhere? And I go, no.
That sounds like the ultimate transition.
I couldn't have asked for it to go better.
I mean,
to be honest, like, I loved the competitive atmosphere the Lions brought, the excitement. Like, it's the freaking NFL, baby. Yeah. Like, they're the NFL for a reason. But I just always had this calling from rugby, and my spirit got a taste of it. And I was like sitting there in the NFL room, and I'm doing all these tests, and I'm like, man, and I prided myself as a center of knowing
your shit,
knowing my shit, knowing the game, like understanding blitzes and packages and all this stuff. That's what made me a good player, on top of just my aggression of wanting to put another man on his back. But I'm sitting there and I'm just going like,
wasn't hitting like it once was.
No, it wasn't. Huh. And I vividly remember, like, in no pads. I bodied a dude from Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama in the camp.
Right.
Like, I'm feeling myself. I'm competing. Yeah. Still ended up getting cut. Probably could have went on and chased it for however long.
Probably could have earned a role. Probably could have
somewhere. I could, like,
shoulda, woulda, coulda, but whatever.
I don't think like that. If it's not working, hey, Mitchell Family Bible. If it's not working for you, cut it off with a sharp knife.
I just think from the perspective of like interviewing guys and I think we both have played with dudes, and we have old teammates, friends, where like one of the hardest things to do is learn to when to let it go. And I think when you know, you know. I mean, I know we both know dudes who they didn't have an insane college career, and they're still chasing that dream. And it's like, you know, you're mid-20s, you got the role of knowing, you got the role, like this place like Fresno, like you could be mid-20s and you could have a degree, go into a business with your shirt tucked in, shake someone's hand and be like, how's it going, sir? My name is Frank Dalena. I graduated from Fresno State. I played football there for 5 years. I majored in this. I'm very interested in helping your team be successful. Do you have a spot or a role you could offer me? I'd love to help your team win.
9 times out of 10,
they'll hire you on the spot.
Somebody from the valley, if they really are a small business owner or anybody that's interacted with anybody in this valley, 9 times out of 10 they're saying yes.
I couldn't agree more. But it takes
Which is a testament to the Red
big
Blades.
Yes, shout out to the valley. It takes a big sense of manlyhood to be able to accept like bro, you play sports your whole life, and then as you get older, you talked about baseball or rugby, like you slowly start eliminating the sports you play. Like I didn't know my last I played every sport under the sun. I didn't know my last track meet was the last time I'd run track.
Yeah.
You don't know your last baseball game's your last baseball game. And I think, you know, you don't, those Band-Aids you rip off, they don't really matter as much. But then you get to the college level, even high school. My last high school football game, I didn't know if I was going to play college. I told myself I was going to play college somewhere.
Spoke it into existence.
But I cried just like the guys.
Just like the guy next to you.
The guy next to me who I know is never going to play. He was a decent 195-pound left tackle.
Left guard.
And you know what? He had a decent-ass high school career who had great effort and was gritty. He ain't going to play. It's done deal.
I'm laughing so hard.
Because you know.
Yes, I know.
You know. And it's like, but to play the game as long as you do and at the high level and have that much passion into it, like you said you have, you never know when it's your last game. Like, I think there's almost, you're better off. Like, I knew my last football game was my last football game.
Yeah.
And at this, as shitty as it was, I'm glad I knew it was my last football game.
I could make it
my last football game.
You could work yourself and wrap your brain around.
Between me, my brain, my heart, God who's got me through all of it, and my family knowing, like, look at the places we've got to travel to watch him play, the highlights, the joy, the sadness, how much closer we are as a family because of this sport.
Sometimes it's good to close a chapter.
I closed the chapter. We let it happen. And I have no regrets. But I think there's guys out there who they think that, what are you majoring in? The league. And it's just like, that's great and all, but for everybody, football eventually ends. I don't care if you're freaking Tom Brady. Football just ended, bro. Yep. It just ended. It always ends for you. So to be able to have that peace, it's awesome. But for you, you didn't really have to go through that like weird trial where you had a shot. You're still training. And then you had to make the decision like, listen, am I still going to be in NFL lineman shape, or like, am I going to get a job and make some money?
Yep.
You got to go from I'm in shape to like, boom, passion.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a passion project, but like a passionate thing that you knew you wanted to do.
That fueled me.
I don't want to say it fell on your lap, but like, dude, the line, everything lined up pretty good.
Oh, I look back and I don't think you could like write up a better story. I don't think you could write up a better transition for myself. It just makes me laugh. Like sometimes, if you're living right and doing things right and taking care of your business, things will just go the way they need to go.
Yeah.
And again, that transition was right on for me. The crazy thing is, like, I think that the hardest part for me was the actual transformation of what a football environment breeds versus what a rugby environment is.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, like, you got your coaches, you got 110 guys, and your coaches are top down. They're giving you everything you need to know, and then hopefully they have some leaders, like we talked about early on, that go and disperse that message. Rugby, there's 35 of you on your entire team. you get into this dynamic of almost like smaller sports, like a lacrosse or a soccer or a basketball, where personalities clash a little bit harder. Like everybody in the room starts to have a voice, which sometimes can be good and sometimes can be bad. I was a part of some teams early on in my career in rugby to where I muted myself.
Yeah.
Because as a leader, I realized we had way too many leaders.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Way too many voices. And if you got too many voices, there's not a voice.
Right.
It's just a whole bunch of chatter.
Yep.
And I think that was a really big kind of transition point for me, is coming from this very loud local or vocal leader that wore my heart on my sleeve as a college offensive lineman.
Right.
Transitioning into not necessarily a full starting role as a professional rugby player, but coming off the bench. And honestly, for the first time in my career since I was like 7, not being a starter.
Yeah.
Like having to find a true role as like a pivot player, as a, hey man, you're not starting, you're coming off the bench, you might only get 15 minutes. How are you going to make an advantage? Hey, there's times I didn't even play. Like we can dive into that. Like, what do you think that feels like as it mentally affects a guy, right? Like we talk about all these different things about, like one bad play. Well, a couple bad plays starts adding up and nobody checks in on you. Now you got 10 bad plays rerunning in your head and nobody's taking care of your mentals, because the only person that ever is going to take care of your mental situation
It's yourself.
is yourself.
Every time.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And like, I've been in the position, I know damn well, where, those reps, as they get more minimal, they become more critical. And maybe you get 4 reps. I'll use a receiver example. If you're the starting receiver and you get 9 passes and you catch 6 of them, well, you're the starting receiver. Maybe there was one of them was maybe one of them
Like a contestable catch.
One of them was contestable. Maybe one of them was a little high, and maybe one. Hey, you got to get those next time.
They got dudes on scholarship too. Maybe they got a guy who made a play here on you.
But let's say I got minimal reps, and I only get 3 passes thrown to me, and I drop 1. That trust lost.
Bye.
Lost.
You don't have any. Actually, probably the next day, you went from having 3 reps to not getting any.
None.
To sneak in a rep.
Don't waste those reps on him. To hey, who's ready? All right, go ahead, get in there. And it's like, dude, it's hard to climb your way back up that ladder. And again, nobody's got to have a pity party. That's a very clean cut example. I've been in it.
Yeah.
I've been in it to where like, and the best way to play any sport is loose and confident and floating.
Flow mode.
You're just smooth, cool, calm, and collected.
I actually talked about this with a really good buddy of mine who's actually in the MLR final this weekend.
Yeah.
Our loose head prop from San Diego, Fakosi. And we got in this really good conversation, 30 minutes underneath the table, talking about, before I headed back here, about how one instance with a coach can have a detrimental effect to your ability to play.
Yeah.
One lack of trust, essentially, right? Like rugby's a little different, right? Like, because if you get pulled out of a game in rugby, you can't go back in unless there's some blood sub or some other thing. Like there's rules that I could go into, but like if you get yanked,
you're
yanked, bro. Like someone else is coming in, they're playing the rest of that game. So like as a young player who's in a professional setting, and I'm turning back onto myself, trying to learn those things. A coach yanks you out of a game and doesn't give you any reasoning of why he did that. You take mental note of that.
Absolutely.
Whether you want to or not, whether I got the best locked in top 6 I've ever work on it every day. I do breath work. I do the things to mentally challenge myself. There's a disconnect there. All of a sudden you start going like, you're playing. You're like, man, what got me pulled?
Right.
Was it that? Was it this? All of a sudden now you're playing with this mental bank of, I don't want to mess up.
And don't fuck it up.
That's where you stop being you.
And
I
it's
remember
tough, bro.
It's tough. I'm sitting here at this table and I'm like, look, I said, bro, you got one more game.
Yeah.
I said, I know everything that's gone on in those 16 games before. You got one more game. He actually had 2. He had the Western Conference Championship in the final. I said, I stopped playing rugby because I was tired of fighting that fight.
Right.
I retired because my body was tired and I injured myself, but I was tired of fighting that fight. Don't let that fight beat you.
Right.
Get on top of it. Be your own best friend. Look yourself in the mirror in the morning and say, whatever you need that day, whatever you have, I got you.
It's tough.
I get wound up about it because I think athletes, whether you're an NFL professional level athlete to a high school senior trying to graduate or trying to continue moving on, like those little hiccups in the disconnection, you have got to check in with yourself because they will start to add up.
Every athlete, I think, goes through it. I think Tom Brady goes through it. I think Tom Brady has a down year.
You're human.
People think he's not Tom Brady anymore. There's rumors, and you know what? We talk about all the time. Block out the outside noise. I get it. Very much easier said than done.
Facts.
I don't care who you are. Maybe you don't do it every day. Maybe you're not obsessed with it. We have these things called phones now, and it's a lot of mean words can be said on them and sent to you, and you could say, this guy, he's got no profile picture. He's got no followers. And all he's texting me is, you're a bum. You're a piece of crap. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Who should care, right? But at the same time, why are you saying that to me, man?
Exactly.
Why are you saying that to me, man?
I'm another human being as well.
Get out of my face with that shit, man.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think. You don't want to second guess yourself. Confidence in this world will take you so far. And I'm not saying bullshit. I'm saying confidence.
Pure confidence.
It takes time, and you got to put the work in to get that confidence.
It's an earned confidence. It's an extreme ownership, really. I know exactly what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And I know I've worked so hard at understanding what I'm supposed to do that if I hit on my points, I'll be good. If I don't, it's bad for me.
It is tough to block out the outside noise. That's one. It's also tough to have that sense as a man who goes from a maturing boy who loves the sport and is doing it through passion and because of the love of the game to realizing like, hold up. Like this is a business here. There's politics to this. This guy's getting reps because of this reason. They signed him in a professional standpoint. They signed him more money. They're going to give him more attention from a college standpoint. This guy's a scholarship guy who was highly recruited versus a walk-on, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's hard to be able to be like, hang on, hold up. I'm faster than this dude. I got more catches than this dude. I'm scoring more than this dude. I'm making more plays than this dude. Why is he getting a longer string to fuck up over me? That is a hard pill to swallow. I talk to guys about it where it's like, if a dude was a first round draft pick and he's a wide receiver versus a dude who's an undrafted free agent who's a wide receiver, the first round draft pick, if he gets thrown 10 balls and drops 2, those weren't that good of balls. Yeah, it was behind him.
They're making an excuse for him for some other reason.
His string's longer.
Yes.
He has a buffer. Versus you're an undrafted free agent and you drop 2 balls.
You don't got a string.
Gone, buddy.
You don't have,
turn in your playbook. Give us your iPad.
You don't have a string.
Adios.
There's 10 of you. They got a roster of guys outside of guys that they've invested in.
They've already invested in them a little bit. And by the way, there's 100 other guys who could run the same 4-something 40 and scored a couple of touchdowns, did this. How are you going to separate yourself from the pack? And that's just a life lesson, boys.
It is. You talk about it all the time. It's the epitome of what this is about, is controlling your controllables.
Aaron, before I wrap it up, a fantastic episode. What do you have to say for Bring the Juice Nation?
Continue to bring the juice and check in on your loved ones.
Check in on your boys. Check in on your loved ones. I think in this world, we don't say, I care about you, I love for you, I'm proud of you, keep going enough to our boys. Aaron, I will personally say I'm very proud of you, bro. I'm very proud of you for coming back to Fresno, making waves. If you're looking to support Fresno State sports in general, hit up Aaron Mitchell. Check him out. We're going to tag him in all this crap.
Please do.
The juice is being brought. The piss is hot. The fire is firing me up. I could not be more excited. Episode 100 is done. It is fantastic. Subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, 5 stars, buy the merch, go to boxing, do all of it. Go Dogs. We'll see you next time.
Always.